Subgroups and Panning, the highways of your console.
Panning. Now this is a very simple concept of the mixing board. Works like this. Above every channel fader is a rotary pot called a pan. You turn the pan over to the left, your audio source comes out of the left speaker. You turn it over to the right, and your audio source comes out of the right speaker. Turn it back to the center, and your audio source comes out of both speakers. Sounds simple. This leads us to the next section of the console, subgrouping.
I have a perspective, I believe, on sound that comes from the musician's standpoint. And I have a very strong belief that running sound is exactly what that is. Those words, running sound, means that you're running around getting the sound to work as best as you can for the musicians. So having a perspective as of a musician, I think that's essential. You don't have to be a musician, but you have to look at running sound from a musician's perspective.
Subgroups allow you to take a selected number of channels and group them together. So for instance, you could take 4 vocal channels and assign them to a subgroup. This now allows you to control them as a group with one fader. You can do the same with drums, guitars, keyboards, or other audio sources as well. Let me show you how this works. First of all, we go back, push our master fader up to 0 or unity, and our subgroups 1 and 2 up to the same position. Now most consoles at this time have an on switch to turn the subgroups on to the master fader. The Mackie here has a left-right assign switch. I turn them on, now enables the subgroups to the main fader. Our audio source is still coming down channel 20. What I need to do now is to select the subgroup assign 1 and 2 from channel 20. As I slowly raise the fader up on channel 20, the audio now comes through channel 20, through the 2 subgroups, and to the master fader, as you can see on the meters. Now for instance, I want to run the audio just to subgroup number 2. This is where the pan comes back into effect. If I pan over to the right, the audio now is only coming out of subgroup 2 and out the master fader. If I pull down subgroup 1 fader, the audio doesn't change. Let's reverse this. If we pan over to the left side of channel 20, the signal is now only coming out subgroup 1 and out the master fader. If I pull down subgroup 2 fader, the audio doesn't change. Now let's go to subgroup 3 and 4. The same concept applies as it does to 1 and 2. By selecting 3 and 4 on the channel, I now am routing my audio signal from channel 20 through subgroup 3 and 4 and out to the master fader. Very simple. Alright, let's put some more channels into the equation now. Let's take channel 17, 18, 19, and 20 and route them to subgroup 1. This is how we do it. First of all, on those 4 channels, select 1 and 2. Raise the channel faders up to 0 or unity. Now take the pan controls and rotate them to the left. What we've done now is taken these 4 channels and routed them to subgroup 1. If I pull down subgroup 2 fader, you can see the audio level doesn't change at all. Let's go the other way. Take all the pans and rotate them over to the right. Now we've taken these 4 channels and routed them to subgroup 2. If I pull down channel 1 submaster, the audio level doesn't change. Watch now, though as if I pull down submaster 2 fader, the level also decreases. I'm controlling the level of all 4 of these faders. If I go back up, the level goes back up as well. Now, on the Mackie, you can also see that there's left and right assigns. What this does is it takes the signal and routes it straight from this channel right to the master fader. On other consoles, it's called a stereo switch. By selecting the stereo switch, does exactly the same thing as this left-right switch does. And that's subgrouping.
Again, let's review this section. Subgroups allow you to take selected channels and group them together. Selecting the subgroup assign switches on the channels routes the chosen channels to the subgroups, then out to the master fader. When using the pan controls, you can route the selected channels to one subgroup or to both, depending on the position of the pan rotary pot. Selecting the left, right, or stereo switch routes the signal directly to the master fader. Adjusting the subgroup fader raises or lowers the level of all of the selected channels for that subgroup.
first thing you need to do is get a mix happening, because that's what the audience is going to notice. If they can't hear the vocals, they can't hear the keyboards, they'll notice right off the bat. Nobody knows what you're trying to do with the snare drum or what you're trying to make a guitar sound like. That you've got time for that afterwards. First, get a mix happening so you can hear all the instruments. Then you got time. You can go in and start EQing, and you can make things fit in the slots that they need to fit in. You can change the sound of individual instruments to customize, to make it sound real nice. But the first thing to do is get the mix happening.